You know, in the high-stakes world of business, it really all boils down to just one thing: influence. Today, we're going to unlock the secrets to mastering it. But okay, before we get to the solution, we have to understand the problem. And it's a big one. It's this fundamental challenge that can sabotage deals, kill entire projects, and create conflict in pretty much every workplace. It's the friction of human interaction. So, why is it so tough? Why is it so hard? Well, it's because we're not dealing with creatures of logic. We're dealing with creatures of emotion. People who are just bristling with their own prejudices, motivated by pride, and driven by these deep, deep wants. Getting them to see your point of view, it can feel absolutely impossible.
Look, interaction is just unavoidable. It's part of the deal. And wherever there's interaction, there's always the potential for friction, that invisible force that can completely derail a negotiation or just sink a project before it even gets started.
But what if I told you the solution to this very modern problem was actually written nearly a century ago? Seriously, the operating manual for human dynamics has been hiding in plain sight this whole time. The solution, believe it or not, comes from Dale Carnegie and his iconic 1936 book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Now, this wasn't just some self-help guide. No. This was a strategic manual for mastering the art of human connection, and it was written by a true master strategist. And if you want proof, just look at the numbers. We're talking 40 million copies sold worldwide. That's not just a bestseller, that is a global phenomenon. It's a testament to its enduring power and, really, the universal truth of its principles. And don't think for a second this is some dusty old relic. From its first printing way back in 1936 to its revision in 1981, and even right now, today, its wisdom totally transcends time. I'd argue that in our hyper-connected but often very disconnected world, these principles are more critical than ever before. So, welcome to the masterclass. We're going to distill Carnegie's code down into powerful, actionable lessons that you can use to build your influence, starting right now.
All right, rule number 1. This is the foundation for everything else. Carnegie tells us that criticism is basically futile. Why? Because it just puts the other person on the defensive and it wounds their pride. So instead of condemning people, the first real step to influence is to understand them. Try to figure out why they do what they do.
Now, let's get practical. There's this powerful tool called the SHR method for making people feel truly validated. First, make them feel seen. Be fully present. Next, make them feel heard. That means listening without interrupting. And finally, make them feel remembered by recalling details later on. It's simple, but it is an incredibly effective way to build loyalty. You know, Carnegie was a big believer that charisma wasn't something you were born with. It was something you could learn. It's really just a series of practiced habits. A genuine smile, making other people feel important, really listening, using their name, having open body language, pausing to seem thoughtful, and, using a little light humor to disarm people. These aren't tricks, they're tools.
This is probably one of Carnegie's most famous principles, and for a really good reason. Using someone's name, it just signals respect and it forges an instant connection. It basically says, I see you, you matter. It's such a simple thing, but it's a profoundly effective tool in any interaction.
Here's a huge one. You can't force someone to do something. It just doesn't work. The real secret to influence is to make them want to do it. And how do you do that? You align your goals with their desires. It's all about framing what you want in terms of what they get. Carnegie's fishing analogy just makes this crystal clear, right? You bait the hook not with what you like, but with what the fish likes. The exact same thing applies to people. You have to talk in terms of their interests, not your own. And that brings the question right back to you. The next time you walk into a meeting or a negotiation, just ask yourself this: what does the other person truly want? What is their worm? If you can find that, you've found your key to influence. Okay, but let's be real, does all of this analog advice still hold up in our digital world? Can a book from the 1930s really teach us anything about emails, Slack, and social media? The answer is a resounding yes. Actually, in an age of influencers and constant virtual communication, you could argue these principles are more crucial than ever. Let's just take a quick example. The principle of remembering a person's name. It's all about making them feel individually recognized. Well, in the digital world, that same principle translates. You might not know every follower's name, but you can acknowledge their contribution by quoting their comment or sharing their post. The tactics change, sure, but that core human principle of validation,
it stays exactly the same. So, after all these rules and principles and methods, it all really distills down to one powerful, actionable secret. The one idea that underpins everything else we've talked about today. And here it is, a secret championed not just by Carnegie, but by industrial titans like Henry Ford. The ultimate key to influence is perspective taking. It's the ability to genuinely step out of your own head and see the world, truly see it, through the other person's eyes. Because at the heart of it all, success isn't really about tactics, it's about empathy. It's about having a sympathetic grasp of the other person's viewpoint. So as we close out, I'm just going to leave you with one final thought. Whose shoes will you make an effort to step into tomorrow? The answer? Well, it could change everything.